So, Mike Swift, my fat was out of control today.
Uh-oh. What do you mean?
Ran through the grocery store on my way home today just for a quick second. I wanted something, I wanted rice to make a taco bowl tonight. And as
Mhm.
I was walking through, I somehow found the candy section, lemon meringue M&Ms.
No way. What?
Yeah, it's like white chocolate and lemon. And I was like, this is probably going to be awful, but I'm going to try. I had to hide the bag from myself because I couldn't close the damn.
How does one hide
You
candy
know,
from themselves?
sometimes you just save yourself from yourself. All right, welcome into another episode of What's on Your Mind to Radio Dudes. He's Mike Swift. I'm Stephen Lewis. We just kind of chat about what's going on. Hopefully, this week we lower the temperature just a little bit and maybe have a more
We've been a little bit, yeah.
been,
We've
been
been a
kind of
little on the
intense.
mild side.
Like I know what
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about isn't necessarily as hot as what we've had the last couple of weeks, but you're up first, so I guess that's up to you whether or not you're going to lower the temperature or just turn it up to boil.
Well, my friend, I think we are going to turn the temperature down just a tad and keep things light and easy. So this week, as you know, I've been having some car trouble. And
You're going to talk about that?
Yeah, we're going to talk about this because, you opened my eyes. You did. You honestly did. So to kind of set the table a little bit, I needed new brakes for my car. And of course, as one in my position who has no handy bone in their body does, the first thing I do is pick up my phone and start shopping around for places to go get brakes. What's the cheapest, and what's going to be cost efficient? God, am I going to be able to get in somewhere quickly because I use my vehicle, for work purposes. So, I need it. So, and I just happened to mention to you that I was shopping around for brakes, and you very quickly said, "Nope, don't do that. Don't. I can help you do that." And so we got together a few days ago, and you helped me replace the brakes on my vehicle. Um, every once in a while, I've got to stick my feet out the door and stop Flintstone style, but I have brakes now. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, but what's on my mind is the fact that I never learned a trade of any kind.
Okay.
So, it's one of those things where, you go through life, and
Yeah.
anytime a problem pops up, something needs to be fixed, something needs to be put together, something, needs to be repaired. I've just, called the professionals. For one, I,
Which
I just don't.
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, they're
Mhm.
professional for a reason.
Right, right. And I'm not. So it's always been the common practice for me to just call a professional, and despite how painful it might be financially, I'll let the professionals handle it because, I just can't. I'm not. Um I don't have a handy bone in my body, I guess.
Okay.
Um and I've learned, or it made me realize, you helping me get the brake. And let's just be honest. You helping me fix my brakes was more of me observing you replace my brakes. Because
That's
again,
fine.
no handy bone. I mean, let's just be honest. We started off with, Mike, why don't you loosen these lug nuts while I do this? Okay. Hey, Steven, I can't loosen these lug nuts.
It's true.
It's embarrassing. I couldn't do it.
Before I talk about your breaks, let me, let me say with I was never I learned a couple of things and I never did it I preface this, I always had an interest in it,
Hmm.
but my sister's father was super handy while we were growing up. In fact, if he wasn't such an a-hole to me, I would probably know more than I do. But he was truly like, I will give him his credit where credit was due. He was a carpenter. He could tear down a car and put it all back together and build it back up and fix all that kind of stuff. And I always had an
Hmm.
interest because he had a hobby of like restoring cars when I was a kid. So there was always some kind of old vehicle in the garage that he was working on. But he was such an a-hole to me. As much as I was interested in it, I never wanted to learn under him because I figured he'd spend most of his time belittling me or beating the piss out of me. So I didn't want to
Hmm.
like necessarily, I never got into it. But I started learning how to do like minor things, and I learned how to do like, you know, simple stuff that you could do that you have to do like regular maintenance. So I learned how to change my spark plugs and do brakes. But I didn't really further that interest to do anything until I got my Jeep. And when I bought my Wrangler, everybody says as soon as you get a Wrangler, the first thing you're going to do is modify it. They're not wrong. Like I went and I'm like, need lights, need this, need that, whatever. But I started watching YouTube videos to learn how to do it. And at the other time, like during the pandemic, I started playing around with stuff and seeing if I could actually, accomplish it, going beyond doing brakes.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that I'm great at it. Like I've definitely made my mistakes when I was doing things, but a lot of the reason I did it is because cost. I mean, if you shopped around for
Right.
brakes, like the cost for certain things was astronomical. And there were points in my life where I didn't necessarily make all the money that I wanted to make. And for me to shell out, money on a car to repair it if I didn't have to was a big deal. I'm like, at least let me try it first and see if I can do. Now there are things that I just don't do because I don't have the equipment for, or I don't
Right.
have
Right.
the. But I mean, again, on my convertible, I watched a video of a guy tearing apart the engine like 15 times, and before I finally was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. And I tore apart my engine. And by God, when I put it back together, the car ran. So I was like, all right, cool.
See.
But like the only time I didn't is I was still in Indianapolis at the time, but I was bouncing back and forth, and I had my Jeep in the driveway, and I was working, like where I worked was in the basement, and I didn't realize that it had poured down rain. And I went up to the girl child that I was helping care for at the time. I'm like, why didn't you tell me it rained? She's like, I had no idea it rained. I mean, my top was off. There were puddles in my floorboards. It rained so hard. And I was like, well, at this point in time, it's not raining anymore. I might as well leave everything off so it dries out. Went back inside, went to work. It poured down rain not 20 minutes later again. So, like, everything in my Jeep was soaked. So the next day, I went to start, I went to go someplace, and like all my stuff inside the electric was shorting out. And I'm like, what the blue hell is going on? So I decided I had to drive back to Indianapolis because I had to work. And I'm like, well, I might as well find a repair shop close to my house or my apartment in Indy in case I needed to do anything. So I drove back from Dayton, Ohio to Indianapolis, which is about a 2 hour drive with no instrument panel whatsoever because the power was like nothing would turn on in my car.
Oh
Like
wow.
I couldn't do anything except drive. It was raining, but I had no windshield wipers. So I had to like figure out how to get back. So I get back and I drop it off, and I went to like a shop that specializes in electrics. And the guy says to me, yeah, it's the clock spring in your Jeep is bad. I didn't even know what that was, but it's a piece in the underneath the steering wheel and by near the airbag, by the way. And I start looking, I'm like, how much? He's like $900 to fix it. I'm like, $900? I'm like, I'll call you back. So I immediately do what I do. I go online, clock spring itself, $75. I'm like, $75. Okay. I watch this guy on YouTube replacing his clock spring. He's undoing the steering wheel. He's taking the steering wheel out. And I'm watching and I'm like, damn, he's really close to the airbag. Now, if you don't know anything about cars, if you mess up your airbag and your airbag goes off, you're
Hmm.
really screwed. Like it's we
You're paying.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
mean, if they don't total your car, it will be a small fortune to get the new airbag. So I'm watching this guy take the steering wheel apart, and I'm like, okay, maybe I can do this. I mean, I got to be really careful. And then all of a sudden, there's a time lapse in the video. He gets to a point where he has the steering wheel taken off, and he's like, "What I didn't show you is the 22 minutes I spent giving it hell to pry the thing apart." And I'm like, "Nope." And I call the guy back. And I'm like, $900. Okay. Like drop it off. Like there are certain things that I will not do.
Right.
But now, as we fast forward to your brakes, your back brakes might be the worst brakes I've ever seen doing brakes on any car I've ever had. Like I started getting them out, and like usually when you take the brakes out and you take them out of the bracket, they will pop out of the bracket. Not Mr.
Mhm.
Swift's. Oh no. And I'm
No,
like
they
talking
did
like
not.
I'm like, they're not supposed to be this stuck in here. His brake pads came out in pieces because
They did.
there was no pad left. I'm like, dude, you're grinding metal on metal. You shouldn't even drive. I'm like, I don't even know how you stopped. Like, I mean, when I say there was no pad, I mean there was
There
no
was
pad.
nothing there. Yep.
Like
Yep.
nothing. Like it was so much. There was so much heat and brake dust that like what was left of the pad was stuck inside the bracket. And
Seared to the yeah. Oh my God,
I'm
it's
like,
so
okay.
embarrassing.
So yeah, I'm like, you didn't hear it grinding? I don't know, like 7 months ago.
No, that's the sad part. Is it really like there were a couple little squeaks here and there, and like okay, I may not be car savvy when it comes to those kinds of things, but like I know the sound of brakes grinding, and it didn't make that noise until the day before, like 2 days before you helped me replace them, because
I don't know
they
how.
honestly just didn't. I don't under I don't get it either. Like I because like I drive throughout the day for my job, and I called my boss so that I'm just like, hey, listen, just let you know, I'm probably going to be out of commission for the rest of the day. My brakes aren't working. And the response was kind of like, okay. And I know that particular, okay, it may have been in text, but it was like, yeah, okay. you
Uh,
know, but no, really,
I'm
that
like,
was embarrassing.
I was shocked. I'm like, wow, I've never seen brake pads this worn out. Like, this is an example of like, you know, not ever
So
changing your brake ever.
I'm glad you were the one to see it that way. Because I follow there's like a group of mechanics. They're like they post videos of situations or funny situations where customers will bring in their vehicle, and the solution's usually pretty simple, or the problem is really catastrophic and somebody did something stupid and they show it. And I could just think, like, for example, they they just posted a video that said it was a car battery just laying on the garage floor. And it said, customer request us to jump the battery. Okay. And then all of a sudden you see like seven of them in a circle kicking the battery, kicking the crap out of the battery. Because no repair shop is going to jump your battery. They're going to tell you to replace it. So
Right.
they were having fun with it. So long story short, I'm glad if there was anybody to witness the embarrassment of taking off my brake pads, I'm glad it was you,
I mean,
because that was embarrassing.
like I've never had to compress a caliper that much. The way a brake pad works is there are a couple of different parts. There's the actual bracket that holds the brake pads against your rotor, and that the brake pads are what makes you stop. You have this thing called a
Mhm.
caliper, which is basically a giant piston that pushes the one brake into the rotor, and it kind of squeezes the pads together around your rotor to make your car stop. And like I've never had to compress a caliper as much. Like, to put it in perspective, like I opened Mike's brake reservoir because it's a pressurized system, so you need to let the air out so you can push the caliper back in. I'm like, you see how you have no fluid in your brake reservoir? And he's like, yeah, but they just topped it off when I went and got an oil change like a week or so ago. And we compressed the caliper, and I'm like, go look at your reservoir now. Like all of a sudden
It
there's
was
fluid in it again because the caliper had it wouldn't have come out any further. Like,
no,
oh,
no. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing to admit, but
I'm
it's
like,
so true.
normally it doesn't take this long to compress this, but it was
The caliper had come out all the way. There was just no brake pad
nothing
left.
left. Oh,
Oh,
it was entertaining. I mean, I had no idea they
mm.
were that bad. And I was just like, when you said, "Oh, I just heard him grinding like a week ago," I'm like, "Oh, you're probably," and I think I even told you, I'm like, "Oh, if you just heard it, you're probably fine for a little while." And then when I saw it, I'm like, "Dude,
Nope.
how do you even
Things are a
stop?"
little worse than they appear.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. And in my defense, like I'm not the only one that drives my car. My
even
18 and
worse.
16-year-old, which yes, it
Dad of
makes
the
it that
year.
much worse.
Hey,
But
go.
again,
Here's the keys. Go get some groceries. If you don't make it back, I know why.
I, again,
Is that
in
the
my
punishment?
defense,
Is that the punishment? It was so bad you have to drive the car to the grocery store because there's a good chance it won't stop.
we're rolling the dice here. So,
I mean,
you shouldn't have pissed me off yesterday. So
right?
now you've got to drive the car.
Maybe
No,
it'll
Dad,
stop.
do I
Maybe it won't.
really have to? Yep. You'll
Like,
make it back. That's really not something to laugh about.
it's not, but I was
Oh,
amazed. I'm like, dude, you shouldn't drive down the street, let alone get on a highway.
no. No. And yeah.
For the record,
Uh,
Mike's car's not that old of a car either. It's not like Mike's got like a 1978 Gremlin that he's been sporting around for 20 years, 40 years. It's not that old
it's a
of a car.
2019 Ford Escape. Yeah,
Right?
it's really not that old, and it's very embarrassing. And
That until
as I'm
Saturday is
continuing,
only on its second pair of brake pads ever.
oh man, yeah. So for those who out there who know about cars, I hope this gave you a good chuckle as it did us. And
It did.
that's what's on my mind.
Well, at least you can stop again. So what's on my mind is um I kind of wonder, like, we live in a world now where like everybody knows everything about people. I mean, based on their ability to read their social media pages, which is kind of,
Mhm.
used to be like I think you and I come from a time where we didn't leave evidence. Like we didn't post anything, you know.
Right.
If we were doing something, like we didn't let the world know we were doing it, we just did it kind of thing. And now
Mhm.
like everybody posts everything about that, which is it's nice because it does help you get to know someone. But I think people kind of get misguided in that sense where you're really only knowing what people want you to know. And I'm guilty of posting more than I should sometimes, especially over the course of the last year or so. Like I was in a pretty dark place, so I probably posted more information than was completely necessary, that's for sure. But I wonder how people meet people now. And I say this because like radio has taken us down the road where you meet a lot of people based on your job, and a lot of people that I've only met a couple of times, but they know me from being on the air and I know them from being listeners or whatever, and a lot of them I like a lot. Like I've met some really cool, like there's a guy named Michael Atwood that I can tell he's went through like some stuff, but he's a good dude. And Doug Rogers is a dude that delivers porta johns for a job, but he makes videos about it and they're hilarious. And he's just, like a genuinely funny dude that I would not have met otherwise. So I appreciate that. But then I look at like, and I'm not talking about how do you meet people as in me. Like I'm so jaded. The last thing I need to do is meet anybody. Like I get that. Although when I was in the gym today, the hot tattooed Asian chick smiled at me and I was like, yeah, thank you. But but taking that out of the equation, like I wonder how people meet people these days, because it's not an easy thing to do. Because I think if you do meet someone and you get a name, most likely the first thing anybody does anymore is search their socials. so they can find out more about them. And that could be like, I guess, the blessing or the curse or the deal breaker or
Mhm.
whatever. And I say that because there's a guy on my socials that we're acquaintances of. And like, I feel bad saying this because I don't want like the karma of upsetting him on my soul. But at the same time, like every post, every other post, I've snoozed him like, I think every month I snooze him for another month because it's always, what do you like about me? What don't you like about me? Why don't people like me? And then the other things is like if I post a song, it's you're going to give me the musical history of that song, which no offense, I'm in radio most likely. I probably fucking know where it charted. And the other side of me doesn't care. So I don't need that stuff regurgitated to me every time I post a song. But I look at that and I want to go like with that case, I go, all of this is why you don't meet someone. Because when you're trying to meet someone for the first time, people people don't want to renovate a fucking apartment before they live in it. Like they want to go in, move in ready and not have to fix it up. Now, if you're buying a house, sure, there might be some renovation in the process. But nobody just comes right out and goes, I'm going to buy that house. No, you rent a little while and save some money before you buy the house. You know what I mean? Does that make any kind of sense whatsoever?
Oh, yeah, that made sense.
So I'm trying to figure out like now how in today's world do people meet someone? Because again, if you go, because I'm a dark song lyric guy. I always have been. But if you read my Facebook and there's like more than 3 dark song lyrics in a row, you probably think I'm suicidal, even if I'm not. So, like in today's world, how do you meet people? Because it used to be, I think it was nicer when you didn't know or assume to know everything about someone. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
Before you met them. I think that helped. I think it was better when you found out on your own, kind of thing. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I saw an old. I shouldn't say old. I saw a couple in the gym the other day, and you could tell like they couldn't be more opposite, but you could tell that they were each other's person just by their body language.
Right.
And I'm like, and
Hmm.
in my head, I'm like, I wonder how they met because they are like, you can just look at them and go, they're probably completely opposite because he was like straight laced, like, borderline, like maybe military or government job. And she was like tattooed and, probably wild child girl or whatever. I mean, again, I'm just going from the physical look, but you could tell like they were each other, like they every part of
Right.
their aspect was or their lives were intertwined. And it just kind of made me wonder. I'm like, I wonder how people meet because I think online dating is awful. Like it's just, I mean, some people have great luck with it. Me, I would never even try it. Like I think I opened a Tinder account for channel one day, like when we were joking around or something, and I've never used it since then. Like it probably hasn't seen the light of day since 2014. But I just don't know how people even go about that these days. Like I would not mess with that at all. Like, and I know there are a ton of other people, but it just kind of made me wonder. I'm like, I wonder how people really meet these days. And do you want, if you are trying to meet someone, how much do you really want to know going in? Because if you assume something that's wrong, you might miss out on something. But at the same time, I understand if you don't look too far in, you might make an even bigger mistake. So,
Hmm.
I don't know. So that's what's been on my mind. I was just kind of wondering.
Yeah, I guess in many ways I'm the wrong person to ask or the wrong person to maybe give insight on something like that because I really haven't been on the market since, oh God. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
social media was around, but but like, like Tinder and just dating sites weren't really a thing when I
Oh, I mean,
was single. So,
there's plenty of fish and
right,
match.com and all that.
right.
I mean, I think I probably had some luck on where black people meet. Farmers only didn't work for me. So, but and
You're getting
Christian Mingle was like fishing with dynamite. It was too easy. I'm
Oh
kidding.
my God. Ah, jeez. That's I have to almost ignore the black thing just to get to the black people meet.
What?
I'm gonna pull your black card just
What?
because your temporary black card has been revoked just for
What?
that joke.
Anybody? Come on.
And do you want your I no wait, I've got a black friend card pulled? Keep it up, sir. Keep it up.
It's Mike. He's my one black friend. I'm kidding. I have
Then
at
I
least,
come out as
I have
white.
at
Hey
least,
guys.
I have at least three. I think I told you that once. I'm like, dude, you and I could walk through the hood and I would have total street cred until you started talking. Hey, fellas, we don't need to get into any kind of rough stuff here. We're just
Which one,
traversing through the neighborhood.
which one of you hooligans is trying to raise a ruckus?
Uh, but no, I was just curious, like how people go about the meeting process anymore. It just doesn't,
It's
especially people who look like they're truly happy. Because I'm telling you what, you can tell when someone's miserable in a relationship. Their body language says it all.
you're right. You're right. Sometimes it just says we've seen everything that there needs to be seen, and there's just no going back.
Go to a bar, watch, and if you see like the couple at the bar and he's watching a game and his arms are down and he's just staring at the TV and she's talking away, that poor dude is miserable. Like
That's
he
not necessarily true.
if he's not
That's
engaged,
not.
if he's not engaged with her at all, yeah, he's not happy.
That's not. You don't know
He's like,
that.
oh,
You
it's
don't know that factually. You don't know that they maybe work together the entire day, and that's like the one moment that they have where they're, you don't know the situation in like it's something like that. That's a shallow assumption, sir.
you're all right, fine.
Shallow assumption, sir. I
But
I can say it, I promise.
but I used to go
But
to the but I used to go to the bridal shows. Watch a bridal show. Bridal show's a great play, a great way.
mm,
You see the guy that like whatever you want, he's so happy to be there, and then you see the other guy. I was like, wow, this is what it's like to give your spine away. like,
I,
and you can see like every time she looks at something, you can see the dollar signs tabulating in his head. like,
I can't say that I cannot fully say you're incorrect on that statement. I've seen that puppy dog in the window, helpless look.
and it's funny, and
But
I'm a guy. Like I've DJ'd a lot. I DJ a lot of like weddings and stuff, and I've met some really cool couples. And I'm fortunate enough that the couples that I've met, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's what true love looks like. But I'm just curious to why. I'm just curious to how people meet and what people set for standards right now. It's like my friend Sarah, she works in my boxing club. Like, why? How Sarah doesn't have like has found her person is beyond me because like she's checks a lot of boxes. She's fun to be around. She's got a good personality. Like she's entertaining. Like she's a genuinely nice human being. I'm like, there's a lot of stuff there that I'm like, why haven't you found someone kind of thing? And it's just weird. And then you see people that like we all have that friend that is just like they're the negative person when they come to a party. Hey, it's a nice party. Well, not really. The lights are too dim. I mean, you have that person, and
yeah, yeah.
how in the hell are you in a relationship? Who is strong enough to tolerate you for
Mm.
24/7, 7 days a week? Like who, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of it interests me now how like what drives people together.
In this day and age, it's interesting, at least for me, because I think I don't. I guess I'm a little old school. I'm still a little old school because I don't necessarily want to know too much about you by looking on your social.
Correct.
That's just not me. I've never. I don't find it. I don't find it tempting, or I don't know what I really want to use here. I don't find it informative for me to go on your social and try and see what I can see about you. I'd much rather get that from interaction, person to person interaction. Now, call me old school for that, but just I don't know. It's almost like the person who prefers writing on with a pen and paper as opposed to typing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I can see that. And I mean, I think like you go on socials maybe to see what somebody's flaws are and see whatever. Like, I don't know that you can see my flaws on social media, but I'll be happy to tell you what they are. I know exactly what they are, and I will proudly list them because I am who I am. Like, it is, but I just, it makes me kind of you're leery about online dating because we live in such a world now, I guess, where people can hide behind their profile or their avatar or whatever else. And I'm like, you never know what you're going to get. And maybe that's a good thing that you can find out more about a person. But I look at where we were before social media, and there was
Mhm.
something about taking a chance on somebody that you just met and finding out for yourself that was kind of part of what went along with the excitement of that relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that.
Because you meet someone, you didn't have the ability to go scroll through and try to find out everything about them. You just kind of had to
Hmm.
go, you know what, they had a good personality, we had a good conversation, I'd like to do that again. And now, like,
Exactly.
yeah, you just kind of my other thing is, if someone and I used to have this argument on the air all the time, if you keep your shit private, now I really want to know what you're hiding. And that's probably because that's jaded radio guy
Yeah.
in me. But like, if everything is private, if I can't see anything, then I'm like, all right, cool, what are you hiding? You got a husband, you got kids you didn't tell me about, like all that kind of stuff. Like, it just makes me wonder. And I understand, like, I get it, I understand the need for privacy, but I think it's also makes people more like skeptical and cautious because of the privacy, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, yes, in a sense it does. But if you think back and roll back the clock, there was a point in time where you couldn't see any of that information anyway. You had to get that information from interacting with that person
Correct.
directly.
Correct.
And so I it doesn't necessarily bother me or make me feel that someone has something to hide in those instances more than it is that it's more of I'm protecting me. And especially in this day and age, I mean, I can't tell you how many requests I've gotten from my own dad on Facebook because his profile's been cloned again.
Yeah.
And so I get it when there are people out there who choose to keep their information guarded like that. My mom was like that. She was on social media to an extent, but none of her socials had profile pictures. She rarely yeah, she was in her 80s, but um she was very guarded about her information and probably regretted the day she even stepped down to social media in the first place. So there are those people with that thought of, just keeping themselves protected. But that said, there are a handful who, yeah, they've got something to hide.
Yeah, I mean, I like it, but I don't like it. If that's, like, I think it started out, and it's kind of funny because Facebook and YouTube were found liable in a social addiction lawsuit in
Hmm.
Mexico today. And I understand it
Yeah.
100%. Like, I think it was I
Hmm.
think there always should have been age requirements. Like, I think we were better off. Like, I think there was just a time when we were better off than where we are now. And, and again, I don't, having been in a household where there were two young kids dealing with it, like, I don't know that they necessarily needed social media accounts, but everybody has them now. So I'm just, it just makes me wonder, like, how people actually meet and how they form a relationship now, because it's got to be, it, I don't know. It just seems like it's a lot more challenging now.
Mm.
And I also think there's maybe people have become too picky or too, like, the expectation. If the expectation is to find someone who checks every one of your boxes, I think you're going to be looking for a very long time. I think you need to temper those to maybe someone who checks, 7 out of 10 of your boxes instead of, you know what I mean, and see if you can live with that. Because most likely, they're probably you're probably doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like a little bit of, you kind of find the things that, all right, cool. I don't like this, but I do like this. So maybe I can compromise.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you if you feel that's self-compromise, and if so, you know, are you are you cheating yourself? Are you selling yourself short?
Probably.
Or
Oh, there's an instance where I dated someone that did something that I just absolutely despise, but I let it go for years because there were other things that I didn't despise, and the things
right,
that I didn't
right,
despise outweighed the thing that I did. So did
okay.
I cheat myself? Probably. Maybe a little bit, but I don't know. But I mean, but
But
again, I also looked at it as though, despite what some people might think, I don't believe that I go around walking on water and then without imperfection. I got plenty of them. So like
mm-mm, don't you dare! Yes, you do.
I'm sorry I shattered that image for you, Michael. So, but it's just the only way I can turn fishes to loaves is if we all went to Red Lobster and I paid. So,
Okay, how long have you been sitting on that joke?
you know what? I just came up with that. I noticed I got a little bit of it wrong, but it still kind of worked a little bit. And I don't know when I'll ever get the chance to use it again. So we're just going to hold on. We're just going to let it go. But yeah,
Hmm.
I don't know. That's what's been on my mind. I was just curious to see how people meet and how people like determine that they found their soulmate. Like, what did they compromise? What were they
Right.
willing to compromise? What was,
Hmm.
you know,
That well, no, I don't want to set anybody else. I don't want to set anybody up for getting themselves into trouble. I was going to say maybe people can leave in the comments section what you are willing to overlook. If you feel up to answering my question or our question, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section. What were you willing to overlook to in compromising a relationship?
yeah, I'd be
Um,
curious to see what people would
don't
do.
get yourself in trouble though.
Because there are some things that are just absolute deal breakers for the longest
Hmm.
time. I mean, when I was younger and in my 20s, if you were a single mom, I wouldn't date you. And
Hmm.
it wasn't anything against you. It was just I wouldn't date you because, like, I didn't want, if it didn't work out, having until my current stepdad, who I absolutely would throw myself in front of traffic for. Like, I love my current stepdad, but prior to that, having not had good father figures in my life, if you were a single mom, I would not date you because if it didn't work out, I didn't want to be just another wannabe father figure that rolled through some kid's life.
I could understand that.
That was my deal breaker, especially if they were a younger kid. And now, like, now, I mean, you get to the point where you're like, okay, if you don't want to date someone who has kids, your dating pool just,
You just eliminated a
right.
huge chunk of the dating pool.
Exactly. But that was always my one rule. Like, that was my one thing that I would absolutely not, you know, I wouldn't touch
I could
for.
understand that.
So yeah. So anyway, that's what's on my mind this week. So a little bit lighter than the, heavy temperature of the last few. And it'll stay that way next week because I believe next week we're going to talk radio April Fool's Day and how April Fool's Day affects radio, and bring in a friend of ours to share some memories.
So when you do a bit in radio, or you've got a joke or something in mind, sometimes those things can go horribly wrong because it plays well in your head, but when it plays out, it doesn't necessarily go so well. We're going to bring in a special guest who's going to be willing to talk about how that very situation didn't quite go so well for them on April Fools, and managed to piss off a major company.
Well, I remember, because as the management figure, I had to deal with that. That was fun. I'll never forget that phone call. Hi, we need to have a conversation. Oh, About what? You know? No, I didn't know.
What?
If I knew, I would have okayed that. So, tell you how that played out and have a little fun next week. In the meantime, feel free to leave comments. That's a good question, Michael. What is your absolute deal breaker, or what have you had to compromise to keep your relationship going? I bet that's interesting because I bet a lot of people live. I bet that's all over the place.
I gotta think about that. Like, I've honestly gotta think about that because, you know, I mm. No, I'm gonna keep that one under my hat because I know it would be way too personal, and I just don't want to put things out that would put a bad light on someone. So
He'll put them on his Facebook and put them on blast later. So
I sure will.
we will do this again next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for following along, like all the socials and all that kind of stuff. And until next time, have yourself a fantastic week.
Deuces.